Hey everyone, I'm Mike from theparkprodigy.com, and on today's video we're going to switch it up a little bit and we're going to break down some of the best kept hidden secrets over at the Magic Kingdom Park. And the Magic Kingdom is by far the most visited theme park in the world, and we really think there's so much going on within the park that it could actually be a little overwhelming, which is why we decided to break down some of our favorite and some of the best, little secrets to keep an eye out for during your next Walt Disney World trip. I'm really excited for this video, so let's go get started. Thank you all again so much for checking out this video. Like I said, we are about to break down some of the best kept hidden secrets at the Magic Kingdom Park. And if you've been watching our videos, you might know, this is a little different than the type of videos we typically do. Is most of our videos are really to help you plan and get the most out of your vacation. But in our minds, the secrets, and this really is going to help you really get the most out of your time in the parks, because you're going to be able to just enjoy it, hopefully a little bit more, knowing that, hey, there's some really cool things going on within the Magic Kingdom specifically. And one of the reasons why we chose Magic Kingdom to start is really it was one of the last Disney parks that Walt himself had his hands in. And with that, of course, the Imagineers and Walt have these little hidden details and Easter eggs throughout some of the attractions, the buildings, the shows, and so much more that we just want to bring everyone and let everyone know at home. And for a lot of my Disney vets, you might be familiar with some of these, but maybe not. But let's go and let's hop in and get started with number one, and that is forced perspective. And this is one of those things that we're going to talk about that many guests might not even realize that is happening in all of the lands throughout Magic Kingdom Park, and it's something called forced perspective. Now, all that basically means is Imagineers create Disney buildings to appear much larger than they actually are. Have you ever walked down Main Street in Magic Kingdom and looked at Cinderella's castle and noticed how tall it looks? Now, while the castle is very tall, you will notice as you get further up and closer to the castle that the spires and towers get smaller and thinner, giving the appearance of it being further away for you. And that is essentially forced perspective. Now, Disney is notorious for doing this throughout all of their theme parks, and Disney does a really great job of hiding essentially what they don't want you to see. They're very good at kind of bringing your eyes to where they want your eyes to be and hiding what they don't want you to see. One of the other cool things about specifically Magic Kingdom is before you even get to the park, Disney did a very good job of kind of hiding this park, right? If you pay attention and if you try to see the park, from the parking lot, you can't, right? You really can't. You can't get a glimpse of it until you're even over at the ferry boat or the monorail, and that kind of just adds to the charm and to the magic, because the park is really hidden and it really is in its own little magical world per se. And then kind of jumping back over to Main Street and using the forced perspective again, is all the buildings use this effect by making 3-story buildings, and within the second and third floor, almost all of them being the same height combined as the first floor. And you could really see this perfect in the Main Street confectionery right when you walk into the park. And then one of the really cool things that I personally enjoy about specifically Main Street USA is if you look up as you're walking down Main Street USA, you're going to see that there's all names and there's company names and names on the windows of the buildings. And a lot of the company names, essentially what they are, is when Walt Disney was buying up the land in Florida, he actually bought the land using fake names and fake companies, so that the people selling them wouldn't know that it was Walt Disney, and it wouldn't kind of jack the pricing of the land all the way up to make the project unaffordable. So those are some of the really cool things. And then of course there's nods to Imagineers and very influential people in the parks on those windows as well. The other thing I will say too about Main Street is that pay attention to this as you're walking down Main Street. When you first enter the park, you're going to see that you don't notice it, but you're walking uphill slightly, right? And the reason being is because in the morning you have so much energy, so the cast members are kind of really trying to slow you down just a little bit. But at night, then of course on the flip side, you're being helped out of the park essentially, because you're walking downhill, and at that point you're really tired, and you kind of need that help. Okay, so now moving down over to kind of the castle hub, right? You're going to see that the partner statue is another really cool thing, and specifically it's a secret for the perfect photo that you kind of really need if that's the most important thing for your Disney trip. So if you're looking to take the perfect picture in front of Cinderella Castle, don't look any further than the bronze statue of Walt Disney and Mickey Mouse holding hands, called the Partner Statue. Now, the statue was sculptured by Blaine Gibson, who is the Imagineer that hand sculpted all the original Pirates of the Caribbean, every ghost in the Haunted Mansion, and every president in the Hall of Presidents up to George Bush. Also, Walt is wearing an Irish Clydesdale ring, I hope I pronounced that right, on his right finger, and that's something that him and his wife Lillian bought for each other on their trip to Ireland and wore them every day. Okay, another little hidden secret in Magic Kingdom, and this is, I guess, really a hidden secret in all of the Disney parks, is they do have lightning pole flag poles. Now, of course, if you visited Florida, you do know it is the lightning capital of the world, and to keep guests a little bit safer, Disney has actually installed lightning poles, and they disguise them as flag poles throughout Magic Kingdom Park, specifically on Main Street, USA. And if you're wondering, why does Disney not take those American flags down at the end of every night, like they should, it's actually because they're not authentic American flags. They follow flag code, but then they are missing elements of the American flag, like a star or a stripe. Therefore, they do not have to take them down. Another really, really cool thing, if you are visiting with military or military vets, specifically for the flag, is at the end of every evening, not even all the way at the end, but probably around like 5:30, Disney does take the main flag when you walk in down, and they kind of have a little ceremony. It's really, really cool. Okay, so keeping the list going, and this is probably the one secret on this list that's not so hidden or secret, and that, of course, is hidden Mickeys. And for guests who have been visiting the parks, this one is pretty obvious, and most guests have probably spotted a hidden Mickey or two, when visiting, but specifically over at Magic Kingdom Park. And one of the really, really coolest ones, and one of the ones that we really enjoy, is actually a side profile. And it's located on Splash Mountain, soon to be Tiana's Bayou Adventure. If you look at the opening of the large drop on the left side over there, there is a side profile of the iconic mouse, which we think is rather unique. Okay, so now jumping over to some of the rides and some of the hidden secrets within our favorite Disney Magic Kingdom rides, we're going to start with Pirates of the Caribbean, and Pirates of the Caribbean is one of the most popular rides in all of the Magic Kingdom, and personally some of our favorites here at the Park Prodigy. So we're super excited to learn and fill you all in on some of these secrets. And since Pirates of the Caribbean was not opened on opening day, the Imagineers had to work hard to make this a massive ride fit into the existing space. Have you ever wondered why there's a little bit of a drop immediately in Pirates? Well, that's because there is no room to keep the attraction path on the same floor as guests are walking on. So a majority of the ride is actually underground and below where you enter. And that's why at the end of the ride, you take that moving pathway back up, back to the main floor. At the exit of the ride, you're also dumped into a gift shop, which is a spot for 2 Easter eggs with props from the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Right as you enter the gift shop, look up, you will see a sword on the left, which was used in the films. And then if you also look at the top shelf, right as you exit, there will be a red vase. If you look at the base of the vase, there is a prop Aztec gold coin, which was also used in the Pirates of the Caribbean films. And then once riding Pirates of the Caribbean, there's a huge nod to one of the classic Disney films, Peter Pan. As you sail past Captain Barbossa, you'll notice the well where a man is being dunked in water by a band of pirates. One being a tall man with long dark hair and a hook hand, and the other with a striped shirt, red cap, and rather short, representing Captain Hook and Mr. Smee, 2 of the other Disney pirates. And then another cool thing is many of the faces of the animatronics of the Pirates of the Caribbean are reused not only in the same attractions but also in other attractions, since the same sculptor worked on all the faces for the animatronics back then. So the Imagineers often just redress them or style them up differently to appear different, but you will see some similar faces, and should specifically pay attention to the auction room in Pirates of the Caribbean, as there are 2 of the same animatronic faces in that room alone. And also, one last quick little secret, in the auction room, pay attention to the auctioneer. Recognize that voice? And that's the same actor who is the ghost host in the Haunted Mansion. Okay, so moving on to one of the newer Disney classics, and that is Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. And while this is definitely one of the newer rides, there are a lot of interesting facts about this magical attraction, starting with that it is the only swinging type coaster in Walt Disney World. That means that your individual train car will actually swing and swoop as it goes, bends around, drops. But with that being said, it is also rather a milder coaster, and perfect as the starting coaster for the kids. And so the Mine Train is the replacement ride for Princess Snow White after the original attraction Snow White's Scary Adventure was removed. Now, we all know Disney loves to keep nods to the original attractions throughout the parks, and you can find that in this ride as well. So starting off outside the ride, you will see vultures from the original attraction on a lamppost staring down at you. And our really favorite Easter egg is at the end of the attraction, where your minecart will drive right past the dwarf's cottage, which is a few features from the original attraction. And the other cool thing is most of the dancing characters in that scene are reused, with the exception of Sneezy, Dopey, and Snow White, which are new. Another really cool scene that we think some guests might overlook, and we just think is really cool, is as you're ascending at the end of the dark mining scene, make sure to look to the left. The dwarves will be marching up the hill with you. Back to the hidden Mickeys, if you look at the support beams in that same scene, you might also see an interesting hidden Mickey where he is holding a pickaxe, as he's there to help the dwarves. Okay, so moving over to It's a Small World, which is another Disney World classic with a ton of history and secrets and facts that we love to share. The attraction was one of the 4 original attractions to be showcased at the 1964 World's Fair, sponsored by Pepsi back in the day. It's a Small World blazed the trail for a new type of boat ride, which ended up being the prototype for all of the boat rides to come in the future, like Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, that incredible It's a Small World tune that we hear plays over and over, and especially over and over in our heads after we get off the ride, is actually the most played song in history, and I can't deny, and there's not going to argue with that fact, and that's according to the former CEO, Michael Eisner. The Sherman Brothers, famous Disney storytellers and songwriters who created the soundtracks of classics like Mary Poppins, The Jungle Book, came up with the tune. Initially, there was not an anthem to the song. The children were singing their national anthem, but it ended up sounding horrible with all the different songs throughout the rides, tempos and keys, stuff like that. So they instead decided to create one anthem that could be sung in different languages, which ended up being what they went with today. Now, some really cool secrets and stats is there are over 300 different dolls featured in It's a Small World, 30 countries visited within the one ride. Every doll is exactly the same with different skin, hair, and clothes, but the dolls itself are exactly the same, made over and over again. Every single year, the doll's hairs has to get a haircut because it is made out of yarn, and the humidity causes it to expand and grow, which makes it longer and needs to be cut. Okay, so another ride in really Fantasyland, and that is the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. So the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh came in as a replacement ride for Mr. Toad Wild's Ride in 1999 and brought the joy of Pooh and all of his friends to the Magic Kingdom Park. Now, this is one of our favorite attractions at Magic Kingdom, especially because it was so clever when it first came out. It really was, such like a unique ride, and there's something that I personally and a lot of the members of the park prodigy, like, we all remember this as kids, right? And you could still see Mr. Toad in Disneyland, and you could find hidden Easter eggs celebrating the old attraction in Winnie the Pooh, which is what we're going to talk about. So Mr. Toad's Easter eggs in Owl's house. Mr. Toad is handing the deed of property to Owl in the picture on the left, and then Molly and Pooh in a photo together on the ground on the right. So some of the other fun facts is Mr. Sanders' house, or the huge tree right outside of the attraction, is actually the same tree from 2000 Leagues Under the Sea, which was transplanted when Winnie the Pooh was built. If you go inside, you can see a Nautilus engraved into one of the beams of the ceiling as a little nod to that ride. And another cool thing is the ride vehicles for Winnie the Pooh are honeypots, which you will be riding throughout the story that is presented for the ride. And one of the cool things is Imagineers, as they were coming up with this ride, they surveyed kids in the parks and asked what they would want to do if they went to 100 Acre Woods, and most of them answered that they would want to bounce with Tigger. So we have to give a huge shout out to the Imagineers for that. Okay, so moving on to last but not least, and we do have the Haunted Mansion. Now, the Haunted Mansion has so much history in the Magic Kingdom, which brings a lot of secrets that guests don't know about to this iconic attraction. Now, this attraction has a cult following, and I am one of those followers. I simply love this ride. It's by far my favorite in all of Walt Disney World. And because of that, there have been many stories created over the years. Now, Haunted Mansion is an opening day attraction and opened with Magic Kingdom in 1971 and was dreamt up by Walt Disney himself, which actually caused a lot of trouble early on as the Imagineers kind of struggled to come up with the story that Walt envisioned and dreamed of. So after Walt passed away, there were different Imagineers that had their own style of creating spooky or funny, hence why the Haunted Mansion is a little bit of both. Now, the Haunted Mansion was actually built before the story was created, so we also think that's an interesting fact and kind of leads into, why this ride is so unique. Now, each Haunted Mansion cast member has a special mansion uniform, which even comes with a bat on the bonnet. And next time you're in Walt Disney World, just make sure to ask a Haunted Mansion cast member what their bat's name is, and they'll be happy to let you know. So the Haunted Mansion in Magic Kingdom in Orlando is the only one located in Liberty Square. Now, each Haunted Mansions around the world are slightly different, and there is 5 total in different lands. So if you're expecting the same ride in every park, you will be pleasantly surprised to know that it is absolutely different. And as you might know, there are different ghosts with different backstories throughout the Haunted Mansion, but overall, our favorite is the bride. So if you notice through the ride, you will see a bride getting married to 5 different men throughout. Well, if you know anything about Constance, these men met their fate by losing their heads. Each of her wedding portraits, you will see that the effect of her husband's heads will literally disappear. Make sure to check out Constance in the attic scene where you can see she has 5 strings of pearls, seeming to get one from every single husband she's had. Now, when you're entering the queue, you will also see many other details continuing to tell that story, like the blood red roses and even the ghost horse pulling the carriage right in front. As you make your way through the regular queue, there are also so many different details, from nods to the Imagineers on the gravestones or other statues connecting the stories of the ghosts inside the house. And truthfully, we could spend an entire hour talking about all of them, but we highly recommend just to take some extra time within the Haunted Mansion queue. You might even see Madame Leota, the headstone that can blink its eyes if you catch it at the right time. And then another cool one is outside in the graveyard. There is a nod to Mr. Toad's Wild Ride as well. Okay, so over to the last secret for the Magic Kingdom, and just the perfect way to end the night is the Kiss Goodnight from the Magic Kingdom Park. Essentially, near Cinderella's castle at the end of every evening at Magic Kingdom, they will play music to just let guests know that it is the end of the evening, and they hope to see everyone again real soon. The message is followed by When You Wish Upon a Star. So in our opinion, it really is like the kiss on the night, the perfect way to end your day at the Magic Kingdom Park, really perfect way after the fireworks to end your day at the Magic Kingdom Park and let everyone go on their way back home. So that is the list, everyone. Those are some of the best secrets at the Magic Kingdom Park for your next Disney trip, just to get a little bit more magic out of your day, just to keep you a little bit more entertained throughout your day in the park. I really hope that you found this video helpful. I hope that you are excited now for your next Walt Disney World vacation. And if you do need a little additional help planning your vacation, just be sure to go check out our website, theparkprodigy.com. Or like we said, you can definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel, as we have a lot more similar videos coming out in the coming weeks. But I think that's all the time we have for today. Thank you all again so much for checking out this video. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.